Hi, it's Tony from Sailing LRA and welcome back. Today I've got a question for you. I'm considering buying a bigger boat and I just would like to seek your advice on this. I've made some notes and I hope you don't mind me referring to those. Like many boat owners, I'm considering going just that little bit bigger, and even though I love the Cav 28, I'd just like to try something a bit bigger. How much bigger? 5 to 6 feet, possibly 5 to 6 feet. I'm a big fan of the North Shore series of boats. Almost bought a 27. I am just in love with the lines of the 33 and its evolution, the 340. Let's have a look at those now. Here we have a North Shore 33. In fact, this was one of the later ones, so it was known as the 330. Still the same dimensions, just a different name to fit in with the new series. This is differentiated from the earlier models in that it has a wheel, and the previous ones were helmed by a tiller. And as we come around to the rear of the boat, you can see that it still has the older style of rudder attached to the transom. One of the things I really like about this series of boats is that the companionway is on the starboard side, not in the center. To me, that's just really practical. It's a little bit different, but really practical. And here we have the 340 Mark 1. In fact, this is the one that really tickles my fancy. There are a few differences. We can see that there are port lights in the hull, which I really like, and they really do work well with the upgraded cabin. The boat is 12 inches longer, the stern has been slightly extended, and entry to the boat is now through a stern access. Clearly the rudder can no longer be hung from the transom, so that is hung below the boat from the stern. This is the one I really like. I love the layout of these boats, and yeah, they really do appeal to me. Ultimately, I'm undecided though, and I'd like to find out what you think. Have you gone bigger and regretted it, or have you loved the decision? What are the pros and cons? I've got a number of things that I've listed here that I've come up with, and I'd be interested to hear what you think. So why would I want a bigger boat? I'm going to have to refer to my list, which means I'm going to need to read it. So number one, I want a boat with a wheel. I know there are downsides to having a wheel, but I'd like to be able to lock the rudder off very easily. It also gives me more options when it comes to putting an autopilot on the boat. And I just think a wheel is a much more dignified way to helm a boat. Number two, I love to sail offshore, absolutely. I just think something slightly larger would give me a little bit more confidence. The Cav 28 is very seaworthy, but something a little bit bigger I think would just give me a little bit more confidence out of the heads. When it comes to the cruising kinds of things that I like to do, I want a built-in fridge. I don't think that's too much to ask for, and a little bit more storage space in the galley. I like the idea of it being able to leave things on the boat rather than having to carry them on and carry them off every time I go there. I do have a little bit of storage space, but it'd be nice to have some more permanent storage space. Talking about down below, a little bit more space below decks would be great. Now, our teenage daughter's growing up, and she finds the quarter berth and in the Cav 28 great, but it's just so difficult to get into. So a little bit more space for her would be good, and a little bit more space for me when I'm down there as well. Really getting into the comfort and luxury now. I'd like a bigger head, and I'd like a shower with hot and cold water. That would just be a luxury for me. The minimum I spend on the boat's about 48 hours. So yeah, I know that's real luxury, but that's what I want. I want a boat with an anchor windlass designed into it. Yes, I can put a windlass on the cove, but it's going to mean cutting holes in it, running wires where wires weren't meant to run, and if the boat's designed to have it, everything fits and it just works better. Um, and last thing I've got down here is that I want just some nicer finishes on the inside of the boat. I consider the Cav 28 to be a big small boat, so it's got small boat finishes, but just in a larger size. So I'd like to have a small big boat, if you like, and all the finishing touches that come with a big boat. So why wouldn't I go bigger? Probably the most obvious thing is the extra expense, but I want to talk about something else first, and that is the handling of the boat. My my greatest concern, I have to say, is whether I will be able to handle the boat as successfully as I handle the Cav 28 now. Now, I'm not saying that I handle the Cav 28 great, but I can handle it, and it feels comfortable to me. That's the point I'm trying to make here. Um, can be heavy at times, and if it catches you off guard, and we've all been caught off guard on the boat, if it catches you off guard, I can get it back. I just wonder whether I would be able to do the same thing on a boat that's 5 or 6 foot bigger. Everything's just that little bit heavier and more considerably heavy in some cases. Um, I'm not too worried about sail handling, and that's what winches are for, right? It's just the manual handling, picking up buoys, docking, that kind of thing. So what I'd be interested in is doing a few sea trials on a bigger boat, and hopefully getting on a bigger boat so I can get some experience and see how I actually go with it. So I'd certainly be doing that before I made any kind of decision to purchase a boat. So we get to the expense part, and yes, there is a bigger boat's going to be more expensive. I mean, we all know that marinas, not just for staying there, but for servicing, anti-fouling, slipping, they charge by the foot. So if you've got a boat that's 5 foot longer, I mean, anti-fouling is going to cost you straight up $500 more. That's what it is. Your standing rigging's thicker, it's longer, your running rigging's longer, sails are bigger, your engine needs to be bigger, servicing costs are going to be bigger, it's going to use more fuel, etc., etc. I mentioned before hot water. That's just another thing on the boat that can and will go wrong at some stage. So all these considerations are there. Like, I'm not too worried about the expense, I've got to say. If I was going 10 foot bigger, that would be a completely different ballpark. But 5 or 6, I think it could be manageable. I'd just be interested to hear what you have to say about your experience of going bigger and whether it's been a good thing or not such a good thing. Please fill those comments up with your advice. I'd be very keen to hear it. There's a good chance that I'll probably go and buy something anyway, despite the best advice, but none of us would be in boats if we listened to the smart people, right? Look, thanks again. I hope you enjoy this, and please let me know what you think. See you again soon.